Hi, I'm Mike Harrington, and in 2014, I embarked on a health journey resulting in my losing over 200 pounds on my own. Since then, I've been sharing my story and have become an advocate for healthy living. Welcome to Mike Inspires Me, a podcast show about health, wellness, and amazing people to inspire you to take charge of your life and your health. Stress, everyone's favorite subject. Been doing a lot of thinking about stress and the impact it has on our lives. Certainly over the past few years, we've been dealing with some unprecedented times, which are causing people to have to deal with stress that's unavoidable. Now, I hear people talk about avoiding stress. I hear people saying, that they try to avoid it, but let's face it. There are things going on in this world. There are things going on in our lives over which we have no control. And that causes a lot of anxiety for people because often when people feel like they can't control things in their lives, they can't control the stress, they worry about it. And unfortunately, that's one of those things where the worrying serves less of a purpose for you in terms of being able to solve the problem and more of damaging your psyche. Now, certainly there's good stress. I mean, having a new baby, getting married, going on vacation, those things have stress on the body too. They have stress on the mind. It's good stuff. And it's exciting. And, there's a lot of things. I'm sure, I know for me, I would be terrified skydiving, but some people get the thrill out of that type of stress. Those things are things in our lives that we can categorize as good and good for us, and we want more of them. But the thing we want to talk about today is the things that aren't so positive and how we're handling them. Now, one of the things that triggered me to talk about this today was the recent news from the CDC bringing back some of the mask restrictions and causing many companies and places to have to relook at their back to work plans. And it seems to be causing stress for people because there were a lot of folks who were getting ready to, quote, get back to normal. And it seems like there is really no normal. Now, I don't want to get into a lot of details today on all of those things. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm really focused on is just talking about how it's affecting people. We can judge people and say, well, geez, the way they handle it, or they're too soft, or maybe some people you consider too hard. And everybody does handle certain types of stress in different ways. Now, the skydiving thing, as I mentioned, I've known people who love it. And certainly now I've never done it, but in my mind, first off, you probably would not be able to get me unless you forced me and pushed me out the airplane. But I find it terrifying. And it's that perception. It's that fear. It's that thoughts in our minds that cause what happens in our physiology and in our psyche and what makes us react. It's all in how you handle it and how you choose to deal with it. Now, obviously, excessive worry does have bodily effects, mental effects on us. It can be debilitating. I have myself struggled most of my life on and off, as I'm sure many of you, with worry, anxiety, also depression. And I've gone through myriads of different types of treatments, whether it be seeing a therapist or taking medications. And what I find is that The therapy can be good. The medication, for me at least, is sort of a mask, because I'm a chicken and an egg person here, and I kind of believe that it's my thoughts that drive my emotions and that cause me to get stuck in certain cycles. And so I really just wonder, you know, with all of these things going on, um, how are all you doing? How are people handling the stress of the world, the stress of uncertainty, stress of our jobs and our lives, losing loved ones, getting ill, worrying about, do I need to wear a mask? Do I not need to wear a mask? Do I, and there's people all over the place, right? And again, we're not here to debate on all those things. What we're really more focused on is, what types of things are people doing in their lives that are helping them deal with this stress? My wife told me the other day, and I've heard this before. They were having a discussion, I think, at her job, and about the increase in the sale of alcohol. It increased last year from the year prior, so from 2019 to 2020, alcohol sales soared, and ironically, or maybe it was planned, the liquor stores were not closed down and not limited, and so the use of alcohol has dramatically increased. And I can tell you a few observations. I have quite a few of those liquor stores around me. I walk by them. I see people all hours of the day going in there. I'm not judging. I have alcoholism all through my family. I've struggled small periods of time in my life with alcohol, although alcohol's never been my usual choice. And but I get it, and I'm empathetic towards the struggle with that. And it's an easy thing for people to do, because let's face it, initially you drink, it helps you feel numb and escape for a little while. The sad part is, for many people, it gets worse. And alcohol, as we all know, is not a solution for the problem. It is an extremely, very temporary Band-Aid. And if anything, it's long term, it's very damaging. I was just reading about a guy I grew up with in my neighborhood, who sadly, he passed away a few years ago from excessive drinking. And it really just, it touched me, because the first thing I said in my life, and I didn't know the guy, like I wasn't super close to him, but enough I knew him and his family. It honestly, it tore at my heartstrings. I was like, wow, I never knew this guy and what he was suffering, because people don't drink to death because they're happy. Let's face it. They drink to escape their problems. And I've been open about it. I've seen that with my own father too, although alcohol wasn't what ultimately killed him. But I've seen many people, many people. I know many people now. Some of you might be even some of the people I know, some of my friends. And it's sad, because what it comes down to is people don't know how to deal with stress, at least in a way that's healthy. Now, I can sit here all day preaching to you as the healthy living advocate, and you're like, yeah, Mike, let's go hike with Mike, right? That's going to make me feel better. And yeah, I can certainly tell you it does, but it's also not an easy road to get there. But I will tell you that it is something to examine, because even myself, I have to check myself. Now, even last year, Teresa and I, Teresa not so much, she's not a big drinker, but I found myself during times letting loose a little more with alcohol, because heck, it just seemed like something, have a few drinks. And there were some days, I'm not a big getting drunk person. I have been rip roaring drunk in my life, and I don't like that feeling. But I did see myself even heading down a path like that. Another interesting subject, which can be controversial, but I'm going to go ahead and just dive right into it, is the recent uh, recreational legalization of marijuana here in Connecticut. And I can tell you, I know many, many people who use that for I'm going to say, a non-prescription type of um, uh, stress relief. And personal experience. I've had family members, and I know many, many people. It is an extremely quick way to reduce stress. You smoke a joint, and it's kind of like if you guys ever watched the movie Up in Smoke, there's a line in the song. It says, "I take a toke, and all my cares go up in smoke." And I've witnessed it firsthand, and I can tell you, yeah, I mean, from a terms of uh, its ability to take care of people's problems, they use it medicinally to treat PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, so it does have, obviously, a pretty quick psychological effect on people to get them to kind of calm down. But there are long-term implications with using substances to reduce your stress. And we could segue into, food. Now, funny thing too, we can talk about marijuana and, of course, making people binge eat. And I guess there's now you got two problems, right? Because many people do binge when they smoke marijuana. But eating, now that's my drug of choice, my biggest one. And it still is my first sort of inclination, that neural pathway in my brain. When I start feeling stress, I want to eat. And it's weird. I said something, I don't know who it was I was talking to. It was, well, let me just explain the concept, because I can't tell the difference between feeling anxious and stressed and hunger, because anxiety and stress to me feel like hunger. Now, that may sound completely weird, or maybe some of you get that, but it had been so much ingrained in me through the years. I mean, that's how I got up over 400 pounds, that's what I used to manage my stress. I ate it. And you feel good initially, and then you feel like crap over time. Alcohol certainly has that effect with people because, it's a depressant. I don't know what the long-term effects of using marijuana. Certainly other drugs people use to escape their problems. That's why most people end up addicted to drugs, is dealing with problems. That's why most people are addicted to most anything, is because of their inability to um, deal with stress in a healthy manner. Well, I'm going to tell you, if I had not learned if I had not learned this very important key, and it was more towards the end of my weight loss, I'm going to say journey, that the piece where I was, actively losing weight, was the fact that I didn't stop having that urge. It didn't go away when I was stressed. The problems are always here. I mean, let's face it, we all have things, whether it's finances and family and relationships and aging and whatever your stress or work. Those things don't go away. And if you're inclined, to do certain behaviors, which in the past have given you temporary quick relief, you're going to go to them. But at some point, you got to stop and examine that and say, is this really helping me? I mean, certainly stress eating was damaging me. It was killing me. I probably wouldn't even be here today if I continued, or who knows what other things I would have ended up with. I easily, as I said, could have gone down the path of excessive drinking or drug use because of the fact that I didn't do things in my life which handled the stress in a healthy manner. Now, you've heard me talk. I did a podcast a couple podcasts ago on having I can't remember the exact title here. Actually, let me just look. I have the window open here. Um, Self-care saved me. Yeah. So that was one of the big things I think that I learned in my life to help me manage stress better. Um, was learning to be proactive every day because I'm dealing with stress every day. Well, even if it's micro stress, right? You drive down the road, somebody cuts you off in traffic, you get pissed off. Those little things add up over time. And even like myself, I've got things on my mind that have been bothering me, over the past year of things, stuff that I've been struggling with, and I haven't been able to find a solution yet to this challenge, and it eats away at me. And the only thing that really keeps me going each day is having this routine of self-care. And we talked about it. I would give you for a highlight. You guys can go back and listen to it. If you haven't heard that podcast, it's a good one. But me getting up and doing my, I read inspirational type things. I read the Bible. I read scripture. That helps me, makes me feel good. May not be for you, but it is for me. I find it very powerful to be spiritual. That's one thing that's really helped me. And again, we talk about not having debates. We're not going to debate on that. This is for me personally. And then meditation, not medication, meditation, meditating. I learned how to do it. And it's very simple. We picture these gurus or these yogis sitting there with their legs folded and their hands, with those little, where their fingers are touching, resting on their knees with their eyes closed. And it's nothing complicated. It's a very simple thing where you're just kind of mindful, either listening to your breathing, even just for a few minutes, just being present or listening to sounds around you. But it really has helped kind of lower that stress each day. And then, the last thing that I do, which is just incredible for me, is exercise, physical exercise, and that kind of physically burns off the stress. Recently, I've taken up trail running again. I hike all the time, as you know, but I started to do a little like a trail. I'm going to call it a trail jog, and I found it's really helping me kind of just burn off some of that physical sensation I get when I'm stressed, when I'm feeling the effects of stress. One of the things that people struggle with is seeing the things that I'm doing as let's face it, about meditation, about exercise, about eating healthy and those. Actually, that's another point I should talk about. And it just seems easier to do these other things. But here's what I challenge you. Why not try one thing? You can download an app. You can just go right out to any app store, whether it's the Android or iPhone app stores, and just look up a meditation app. And there's free ones. I use one called Atom, Atom. It's fantastic. It's very simple. Try it. Just try it once. I certainly say try it 3 times before you decide. It's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to, just a little time. The impact could be, it could save your life. It could change your world. It could give you a whole different set of tools in it that could open your eyes to a better way of dealing with stress. Because the way you manage it ultimately has an effect on your whole physiology. Excessive worry is probably one of the big things that contributes to so many chronic illnesses and disease. One of the pillars of lifestyle medicine is the proper management of stress. Now, I touched on just briefly, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, about healthy eating, but healthy eating is another way. It may seem like it could stress you out, especially if you don't like certain foods, but I found over time, when I put the right nutrients into my body, I feel better. Sometimes people go on a diet, which is why I don't advocate a diet, and they feel deprived and they feel upset about it. I wish I could have this or that I see other people eating, or I can't have a beer. And I really advocate more for balance. But healthy eating is another way to nourish your body, which nourishes your mind, because your mind is not separate from your body. Your brain is your body. It's part of it. It's just one piece of it. And if you're feeding your brain things that stress it, many foods, as you know, and you'll hear, cause inflammation in the body. And when you're inflamed, you don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, your mind doesn't feel good. And you feel stressed. You feel crappy. And we don't want to feel crappy, do we? I mean, I feel bad. I have some friends that I watch and on social media drinking themselves into an oblivion or doing things that, cover up for things that in their lives that they haven't resolved. And I say to all of you, why not just try one simple thing different for a period of time and see if it works for you? It may seem stupid. It may seem, a waste of time, but I would just say, try it, because you never know what you might discover. You had known me years ago and we talked about these things, because many people had tried talking to me about weight loss and things years ago. I wasn't very convinced and I was skeptical. And it's easy for me to sit up here on my high horse, right, and tell you all that, hey, you should do all these healthy things to manage your stress. But all I can do is hope that maybe you'll try it and trust me. And trust me that the things in my life, many of you may not know me very well. Some of you don't know me at all. And some of you are my personal friends and do know some of the things I deal with. But I'm happy to talk to any of you about some of these things that I've dealt with and how managing stress in a healthy way has saved my life, as I mentioned in that prior podcast. Stress can be good or bad. It's all in how we handle the stress, though. It has the impact on our lives. I hope you're doing well today. I hope the stress of the world is not bringing you down, and I wish you well. Take care of yourself. Check out one of those meditation apps out there. Do it for me. Check it out. Do it for you. Do it for your family and your loved ones. Do it because what the heck? If you got any questions for me, reach out. Mike@MikeInspiresMe.com. Love to hear from you. And if you've got a story or you are a health or fitness or professional in the field and like to have a talk on my podcast show, reach out to me, Mike@MikeInspiresMe. I truly hope you're doing well. Bless all of you guys. Take care and stay awesome. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mike Inspires Me podcast. Stay tuned for future episodes and check out some of the past ones you may have missed. For more information on me and my story, go to MikeInspiresMe.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Mike Harrington Official and on Twitter at Mike Inspires Me. Stay healthy and stay awesome.